hear what he has to say
You
that's
don't
in
want
our group chat.
no
Oh, you don't.
no you
No,
don't.
no, no, no.
No,
The
you
only
don't.
reason why is
No, you
because I
don't.
feel like me and Jay feel the same way. But
Possibly.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, right? I'm gonna preference by saying this. We've been telling y'all this for years now, since this podcast started. Let's start there. We've been telling you guys since the pandemic in 2020. If you don't know, go to our YouTube, the Requiem of Vince McMahon. We've been saying this for a while now. I don't want to toot our own horn, but the four of us have been saying this. Second thing, you can't go into 2024, at least in this day and age, with skeletons in your closet. They're going to come out eventually. We've seen it in all of pop culture. It's happening more and more frequent now. It's becoming a regular thing. It's like wake up, brush your teeth, somebody new with some allegations. It's happened to, and I'm not glorifying none of these people because I know people are sensitive. R. Kelly, it's happened recently to Diddy. TD Jakes is now involved in that. And now it's happening to Vince McMahon. And the lesson here is, children, boys and girls, doesn't matter if you're black, white, young, old, poor, rich, doesn't matter. If the FBI coming for you, they coming for you. The feds getting to you, they build up a case, they got you. Now, Jay might go into deeper detail. That's why he's sipping his cup right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm just giving you the surface of what I feel like everybody should know.
You're a great starting pitcher.
But Jay's gonna get into the Jay's gonna get into the real meat and potatoes of how I feel and probably how everybody feels.
Sounds so Brooklyn when he said it. Meat and potatoes.
Yeah, it really was meat and potatoes. But nah, that's how I feel about it. You can't have skeletons in the closet, or even if you didn't do it, even if there's by any chance you didn't do this, whatever he did, which the text messages, I don't think the text messages are true, but the other stuff, yes. You know, you can't go into 2024 and beyond with allegations and all this technology and everything nowadays. Look, people save things in this device right here. They screenshot it, they save it, they don't delete messages, they keep it in case of emergency, and you just got. That's all I can say. Anybody else? Jermaine, you want to talk on it? You are a guest, man. You should start this.
Oh man, let me tell you something. Like, as old as I am, I've always been hearing stuff about Vince and whatnot, like since the 80s and whatnot, right? And to hear this kind of stuff come out now, but not just now, like as recent as when it started with this young lady in 2019, 2020, to know that he was still doing this kind of stuff and worse starting then, after you heard everything else that he did back then, you know, that like the first crazy thing I heard about Vince McMahon was paying off about the Jimmy Snuka murdering his girlfriend thing. That was like the first crazy thing you heard about Vince McMahon, right? And then you hear about potential paying off women or the steroid trials and all this other kind of stuff, and paying people to keep quiet about certain things, and just you hear about payoffs and whatnot, but you never hear any like confirmation, and you don't get a whole lot of information or anything. Now we got confirmation. There's lawsuits, court filings and whatnot. More and more people are coming out corroborating old stories and whatnot. So it's just like it's almost like, okay, we finally all found out, but it's also like I don't think any of us knew how sick and depraved he really was until some of these details came out. You had a clue because you would see what he would put on TV and you would hear things about behind the scenes, but you didn't really know for sure how sick and depraved he was until pretty much now. It's confirmed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take something that Jay is gonna say, and Jay. I'm just like throwing alleys right now.
No, listen.
Art.
The more you put out, the less I gotta, go get into the whole spiel. So you go ahead.
The art imitates the reality.
Yep.
Tyler, would like to speak. If you would like to speak.
No, I don't actually. To be quite honest, I
Right,
feel
cool.
like there's not.
That's cool. That's cool.
Jay's like, oh no,
just like,
don't worry about it.
Because we ain't gotta waste no time on this. I don't want to
the only
waste.
comment is like, I don't
want to waste as much time as we need to.
They share hive mind, so
No. I don't need. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't want to get into a whole spiel where like we go on and on and on and for 20 minutes and all that stuff. We did all the episodes. I think off the top of my head, we probably did at least 3 over the course of these past 3-4 years, right?
I'd say 4. But
here's the situation, right? Okay, so once every year on average, great. He averages a turnover every single year, great. So all the things that the floor has basically said, fantastic. Jermaine, you hit the nail on the head with the stuff that was corroborated. But the biggest thing and the most technical term that I like to focus on is NDAs. When somebody puts out NDAs, multiple NDAs, that implicitly puts out there that something went down and I want to cover it up. And not only do I want to cover it up, I want to continue to do the grease that I'm doing. So that's something that I'll put to the side. You hit the nail on the head. Everything in regards to basically how sick and demented these allegations make him out to be. Jermaine, you pointed out the fact that the stuff that we could have figured out based on the allegations that were beforehand, the Jimmy Snuka stuff. Kid Ty, you and I are big avid fans of Salamanca. Shout out to House of Glory. So like he'll have the podcast. I know in his podcast, he brought up the fact that in 1986, he was accused of rape. That was basically a closed case. Didn't come out until I believe 1992, and they didn't have enough evidence on that. There was another situation where there was a woman who was a masseuse who pretty much had ran to, I believe it was a Pizza Hut, and they did another case and there wasn't enough evidence. A lot of these situations that were not even, and we're not even getting into the steroid trials. We're not getting into the Jimmy Snuka story. It's just strictly Vince McMahon being just crappy, right? Sexual harassment, all these different things, right? Here's the point that I want to focus on. A couple weeks ago, we talked about Tony Khan. And I don't want it to make it out to be a comparison deal, but that's what it ends up being. And this is exactly the reason as to why when you mention people or public figures of power at a certain point, to E's point, at a certain point, something is going to come to light. So when you are to criticize a person at the top, realize that the peers that you're comparing them against are doing some shady, you know what? And even if you want to say, oh, Vince is not in power, it was Triple H. Well, Triple H was on the committee that basically swept it under the rug and said that there was not enough evidence, right? As was Stephanie McMahon. And even if you wanted to take the route of, he tried to do it so that, in a weird way, Vince could get figured out in another way, and on some succession nonsense, he can be usurped into power, because that's the big thing. That's a big buzzword since the allegations first came out. This is succession. This real life succession. This is what professional wrestling or WWE is. Nepotism being overtaken by in-laws. That's what it is. It's succession, right? That does not vindicate how shady it is, even of how justified a Triple H in theory could be. So for the people to say, Triple H is a mobster boss, he's doing this, he's doing thing, that's still shady too. The Stephanie situation is shady too. So when you put that and you keep that on wax and you see all this shady nonsense, of course, people on Twitter, they'll go back and forth and you'll see the most diehard AEW fans say, oh, Tony Khan would never. The same way that a WWE stand 2 weeks ago would be like, Vince, Hunter, Sean even would never. None of these people would never. Now you're seeing all these things come to light. Why am I explaining all of this? One, separate the art from the artist. Because if you're going to wrap your heads around, oh, this is the person that I want to get behind, if that is a part of your validation for following that professional wrestling brand, then chances are it's going to let you down at some point. If the figurehead is a representation of what you watch, and if that's your talking point, Mean Gene, if that's your talking point to watch, if that's your talking point, fine, but keep that same energy. I want you to keep that same energy. I want everybody on Twitter, if you're a pro WWE stan who goes at AEW, to basically keep that same energy when it's a WWE situation. Same way AEW side. Now, if you're playing in the middle and you appreciate and you understand and you're consistent in the fact that both sides do shady nonsense, understand that, yo, I'm just here for the entertainment. Take it for what you will. I said this before, weeks ago with the CM Punk situation. Listen, CM Punk, Tony Khan, Vince McMahon, all these different situations, if you want to piece together the little minute details of it, we've all been through personal stuff. Kid Ty, People's Champ, we're in the same church community. Do you want to really get into how much personal people we know personally who are doing some shady stuff right now, who've done some shady stuff back then? We don't sit there and say we don't subscribe to them no more. We don't subscribe to the church. We quit the church. We quit the church automatically because these are the things that are represented. No, we take in what we want. We take in everything of what the church teaches. We take in everything that we appreciate. We take it and we basically apply it to our lives, and we leave out the BS. So do that. Don't sit there and say, oh, since these are the people representing the thing, I'm not going to represent it no more. And for the people who represent that, oh, shame on you. Or, oh, you know, your person ain't nothing. My person is all knowing. And now nobody knows who to root for. In the meantime, the person who is actively going, in this analogy, to the church, or who is watching a WWE, or who's watching an AEW, I made this point to Kitai a couple of days ago, is going to sit there as an avid fan, and they're going to say, when is it going to stop in a space, in professional wrestling? Jermaine, E, People's Champ, Kid Ty, we all have been a part of a discussion. Pro wrestling is fake. That innate discussion makes you as a person feel insecure because that's a hobby that is your comfort, right? So in a space of your comfort, now you are making a rivalry. You're making tribalism within your field of comfort. So where is your comfort if you're going to sit there and chastise both ends? So that is basically my whole spiel on this. That's my angle. If we're going to critique these chairmen of the board, understand that we got to critique them fairly, but we don't apply it to how we see the television product play out. Tonight is the Royal Rumble. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of that show. Mm-hmm. Same way I'm going to enjoy whatever AEW puts out. Same way I'm going to enjoy whatever TNA Impact puts out, New Japan puts out, etc. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to have whatever that person does validate. I'm not going to Twitter space my nonsense. I'm not going to curse. I'm trying my hardest right now.
None of these, no Twitter
right?
fingers.
I'm not going to sit there and let one infraction dictate everything about a brand that I follow, because I can't regurgitate everything that I support. I can't do that. You can't start canceling stuff that you follow year by year by year. You take the good with the bad. You apply your basis of life to everything, right? Don't let others dictate what you follow, what you preach, your escapes, all those different things. And that's what happens with these this dialogue. This is why I don't
pass the plate around,
because this is what happens. This tribalism nonsense. So that's my whole spiel. Again, everyone made fantastic points. That's my whole spiel at the end of the day.